Etta, just wait for me for a second, love.
Wow, so really important. So you see they're really enjoying their weekend got this morning. Now talking about our beautiful boys and their enclosure in here, so we do try and give them lots of things to play with. Not only do we try and make it interesting during feeding time, we do try and put things in the enclosure that are basically enrichment. Now that can be random items, it can be something that looks very out of place. Things like the tyres, the tubes, the kind of bits of string or rope we put in there. There's lots of different things that we use, but something that you might not see that we actually use quite a lot is different smells. So enrichment is stimulating the animal, it's making them do a certain behaviour, or they could just ignore it if they wanted to. Sometimes enrichment, they're just not fussed. But what they can do is certain behaviours linked to that stimulus. So that bit of enrichment. Now, the enrichment, like I said, smell enrichment goes down really well with these guys because they've got such a good sense of smell. You can see they've got a huge nose. Now that means what we can do is give them scent trails in the enclosure. So it could be just putting strong smelling herbs or spices in there. It could be something like lavender, like a herb, something nice and smelly. It could even be other animal bedding. So something where it's come from another enclosure. So we can actually go get some straw from another enclosure that hasn't had an animal rolling around in that. So we can put it in the enclosure with the lions and they can smell that animal. So it can be something interesting for them. Now it may make them do certain things, it might make them roll around in that smell, making themselves nice and stinky, or it could make them scent mark more. Now when they scent mark, it does look rather disgusting, I'm not going to lie, but what they'll use is their bottom to do it. So it does look very gross. What they'll do is they'll walk around, they'll raise that tail up, and they will spray from their back end. Now it sounds very disgusting, I know, but it is a way of talking to one another. So they can actually scent mark to say, this is my territory, and they will often do it around the glass. As long as they don't do it next to the mesh, you're absolutely fine. Now talking about communicating, these guys of course also can be very noisy animals, so obviously they have had their mouths full of food, but they can roar away pretty well when they want to. Now when they're roaring, it's a very impressive noise, so you don't actually have to be outside the enclosure to hear them, because when they're roaring it carries across the zoo. So even if you're next to the sea of penguins, right in the back corner over there, you'll still hear that noise, because when they roar, it can carry for 5 miles. If they're really going for it, a lion's roar can carry for an impressive 5 miles away. It's amazing. Probably it's due to our 2 gorgeous boys. Things are actually up and about for us this morning. We've actually got Cameron and Catan, our 2 male lions here at Bristol Zoo. Now Cameron and Catan are brothers. They were born here at the zoo, and they're about 4.5 years old now. Now for lions, that does mean that in fact they are adults. They are adult lions, they grow a lot quicker than we do. And you see that they're adults with that gorgeous mane around their head. Now they are very important to us here at the zoo, not only because they were born here in Bristol Zoo, but also because they're a very special type of lion as well. Now, the type of lion they are, they're basically not one that you're going to see on TV often, because what you see on TV most of the time, featured in films and documentaries, is in fact African lions. But the 2 behind you here are not your typical African lions. They are in fact Asiatic lions. Now that means they come from Asia. Now these are very widespread throughout lots of Asian countries, but sadly now there's only one place in the world that you'll find them. And that one place is in India. Now, the one place you'll find them in India is only one forest. So that one forest, about the same size as central London. So it's rather a large area, but there is only around 500 of these lions left in that area. Now that of course doesn't sound very many, but it is actually better than it was if you go back a few decades, because at one point in that forest we'd only found around 100 of those lions living there. So the fact they've increased to 500 of course is very good. However, 500 is not that many. There's going to be more people in the zoo today than there are of these guys left in the wild. So it's really important we have a captive breeding program for them as well, just in case something happens to that wild population. Because you can imagine being in just one area, That's quite a dangerous thing, because if something happens, like a natural disaster hits that area, or perhaps a disease finds its way to the forest and passes around those individuals, that could wipe out basically the whole population. So it's really important that there is also a captive population of these animals. So we here at Bristol Zoo are part of a breeding programme, which is actually within Europe. So we are a European breeding programme, part of that here at the zoo, and that is why the two boys were born here. So they're born here as part of that. Now we are hoping that we're going to continue that, of course, but you'll notice at the moment, as it stands, probably not going to get very much further, as the two I have introduced you to are two males. So we're not going to have any cubs. I don't know how that would happen. So basically these guys are waiting for some girlfriends. Now it's really important that we find the right girlfriends for them. It may sound really simple, but it's really quite tricky, because of course it's really important to find the right ones. Because you might find some that are nearby, but perhaps they are related to the ones we've got here. So it's finding the right females. But it's not only just that. Even if we did find the most perfect girlfriends for them, we couldn't then just go and put the females into the enclosure. And that's because although they are very well at the moment, being brothers, any females in there whatsoever, they would fight over them, because they both want to have both girls. They wouldn't share. It doesn't work like that. So before any females can go into our enclosure, we'd actually have to move one of our males to another zoo. So one male would have to move out to another collection before any females can be put in with the other here. So that's what we're waiting for at the moment, the right timings and the places to come up, which is really, really important. Now finally, I just want to wrap up by telling you the difference between these guys here and African lions, because they do actually look a bit different to one another. Not only do they live in a different area of the world, in India, and the fact they live in forests rather than a different area out in Africa, they're up in open grasslands there. These guys look different to their relatives, just slightly. It's quite hard to tell, but you'll see their lovely manes around their head, of course. They've got a beautiful lot of hair. But actually with African lions, the mane's bigger. So with African lions, you wouldn't get to see the ears. It's really bushy on top of their head. But when you notice underneath it, you saw when they got up, they've got a very hairy tummy. They've got loads of hair underneath their body. Now with African lions, you wouldn't see that. They're not hairy underneath. You wouldn't have loads and loads of shaggy hair underneath them. So these guys have got lots of hair covering that tummy. You wouldn't find that with the African lions. The last difference, I always feel a bit silly saying, because it's not that big a difference, but these guys are also slightly smaller in their body size than African lions. They're still very big. These guys are nearly 190 kilograms, so pretty hefty. But actually, compared to their African relatives, the African lions can get well over 200 kilograms. They're a bit bulkier and bigger than the Asiatics. Now, I think on that note, I'll wrap up my talk around about there. Now we've dispersed again. If anyone's got any questions, do feel free to ask anything you like. Thank you so much all for listening. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon and day. If you want to see our lovely skull that we've got here, this is a resin cast of a real skull, you're more than welcome to. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day. And the next talk today will be our fruit bat.
In case this doesn't work. That's it. No grown up, okay? Don't try. Alright, smile. Look at this. Lovely, thank you. There's only one. There's only one for me. That's it. Let's just wait. Really? Wow. Say thank you.
Guys, come and see this!
White wine.
Yeah, we will get that. Oh, she is next, isn't it?
There's white like
Yeah, lion. There's a lion out there.
We can look back.
I finished it now.
Yeah. Can you see?
some of these guys using this thumb to move around the enclosure. However, if at any point you see our bats hang from their thumbs with their head at the top, instead of hanging upside down with their head at the bottom, then this could be a sign that they are about to go to the toilet, so again, just be extra careful. So these particular bats are found in only one place in the world. So who here has heard of Madagascar? Yeah, quite a few hands up there. Well, these guys come from a small group of islands found just north of Madagascar called the Comores. Now the Comores is made up of 4 small islands, and the bats are found on just 2 of them. Sadly, these bats are critically endangered, and there is thought to only be about 1,200 left of them in the wild, which really is not very many at all, and actually makes them one of the rarest bat species in the world. Now sadly, their habitat is being torn down to make room for the local people to grow their crops. However, there is actually some good news here. Here at Bristol Zoo, we helped set up a project in the Comores, working with the local people to not only improve their quality of life, but to also conserve the forests where the bats are living. The project mainly works with local farmers, and it helps them to use their land more sustainably, so they can use the same patch of land year after year, instead of going in and chopping down more of the bats' forests. Now I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to you all for coming to Bristol Zoo today, because in doing so you are supporting this project and many others like it that we are involved with. So now back to our bats. Would anybody like to guess what these bats like to eat? Yeah, what do you think? Fruit, well done. So these guys love to eat fruit. But you may also see a few of them eating the leaves in this tree here, and some of them eat a few flowers as well. Now they find the fruit using their good sense of smell. If you look closely at their faces, you'll notice they have a long snout with a little wet nose on the end of it, like you'd see on a dog. Now this just shows to us that they have a really good sense of smell. Now you may have also heard the saying, as blind as a bat. Well, this is actually quite unfair, as these fruit bats particularly have very, very good eyesight. Now some bats use what we call echolocation to find their food. Now this is where they make high-pitched noises to bounce off objects in the air, such as flying insects. However, our bats don't use this. Because they eat fruit, they simply use a combination of their good sense of smell and their good eyesight to sniff out and find fresh fruit in the wild. And here at Bristol Zoo, we put their fruit and vegetables on kebab sticks, hang it around their enclosure, and this just means that they have to forage for their food, much like they would be in the wild. So you might think that these bats are adorably cute, at least I think so anyway, but they actually have one big problem. And that is that they are extremely messy eaters. Now one of them was having a bit of a munch over here, and you may notice that he's making a lot of mess. Now this is because their throats are very, very narrow, so they're unable to swallow all of the hard bits of the fruit that they eat. So instead of swallowing it, they simply chew it up and spit it back out in the form of a mushy pellet. Now this probably sounds a little bit disgusting, and it's not the most glamorous thing to watch. However, it is actually very, very important. The pellet that they spit out contains the seeds from the fruit that they've eaten, so they're helping to grow more plant species, which is not just important for plants, but also important for providing food for other animal species as well. So bats really are incredible creatures, and you can actually find them in nearly every single country in the world. And with over 1,000 species of bat, they actually make up nearly a fifth of all mammals. Now we know that bats are mammals just from a few key features. The first, as you can see, is that they are covered in fur. Now this is a dead giveaway that any animal could be a mammal. They also produce milk to feed their live young, and they are also warm-blooded. Now bats may be mammals, but they are actually very unique ones, as they are the only true flying mammal. Now when bats aren't flying around, they love to relax by hanging upside down from high places, and their feet are very well adapted to this. You may notice that even when the bat is relaxed, their feet remain in a hooked position, so they don't have to consciously hold on to the branches. It means they can hang upside down, fall asleep, and they won't drop to the floor. Hanging upside down is also really, really important for taking off into flight. Unlike birds, they're unable to take off from the ground, So instead, they simply drop down from wherever they're hanging and let gravity pull them into flight. So I am going to wrap up my talk there, but if you do have any questions, then do feel free to come and have a chat with me. If you'd like to have a closer look at my bat wing here, then you're more than welcome to see that one as well. The next talk today will be the lemur talk and feed, which is over in the lemur walkthrough in Monkey Jungle, and that will start at 11:45, so you've got 10 minutes to make it to that one there. Now I'd just like to say one last big thank you to you all for coming to Bristol Zoo today. We are a conservation charity and we really do rely on your support. And by coming to the zoo today, you're not only supporting all of the incredible animals that we house here at the zoo, but you're also helping to support all of the amazing projects that we are lucky to be involved with around the world. So thank you.
What's that? Mouse. See mouse? What is it? See mouse? Mouse, good girl. What's that?
Oh look, they're in here. Look, oh my god, they're so quick. The spicy ones are so quick. Hey mom, look, they're called spicy ones. Oh, I love turkeys. I love
There's spiders in here.
Whoa, what is that?
What is that? Oh, Josie, it's Jim Peace Loris.
That's not that's not what it is. Yeah, that's deep. This is literally the best thing.
What's this?
It's just what's this? Dude, that's adorable.
I can't see anything. Look, there. It's moving.
What is it?
I don't know.
It's a slot. Oh, it's a ground.
Wait, is that a slot? Yeah, it's a slot. It's an eye. It's an eye. There's the eye. Look at this one. There's an eye. Yes, it is. It's got a big eye. You want it to look like it. It looks so good.
I can see it. You might not be able to see it.
Look at his big eyes.
That's just
Where
is it?
Drew, this is the way.
Oh, so cute.
It's gone in that one.
Yeah, look.
Oh, look, there's more to it. Yeah, look at that.
I haven't seen it down here yet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rudy, for having this.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
What's that?
It looks a bit like a giant that one. It's right at the back, down at the bottom.
Something's going on. Let's see what it is there. Oh, weird. It's like a kangaroo.
I thought there was a sloth.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look. I know. What is it?
It's angelic, I see.
Right down there. It's hard to see it's moving. From that point.
Can't see. What's in this one? Mighty. Doing that way, darling. Where's Riley? Riley? This way, darling.
She isn't it, Riley?
Get a photo of that one? Oh, you could find it and bump it back to the car.
Can't see because of the glass.
You're half an green iguana.
You can say hi to everyone in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. 1, 2. Incredible for what?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I think it's from Bristol Zoo, I never was, and I found it on Google, it was like, later, it was like,
Should we go in and see the snake? After the... Should we go see the snakes?
that was, we finished dinner.
Yeah, we're going to go snakes are in here, darling. We're going to do snakes and then we're going to do lunch.
We got back.
Can we go see some fish?
Yeah.
Let's go see some fish.
Ooh, lovely. Mangroves. They are venomous, aren't they? Yes.
Backwards facing fangs.
So as they bite, the fangs will go backwards.
Afternoon everyone. My name is Alan, and helping me feed the gorillas today is Charlie, and we're two of a team of 19 mammal keepers that work here at Bristol Zoo. I'm going to start off by talking about Jock, our silverback male, who you can see sat down here at the front of the island. Probably the first thing you'll notice about Jock is his enormous size. He's at least twice the size of the adult females we've got here. You can see Ramina walking across the back, and Salami just sat here in the shelter. And that size difference between the male and the female of the species can generally tell you something about the social system that animal lives in. Jock needs to be that incredibly large size in case he has to defend his family group against rival males out in the wild. A wild gorilla group is much like... I'm going to change batteries in my microphone, 2 seconds.
There's other people around you.
Apologies about that. A wild gorilla group is much like we've got here on the island. There'll be one dominant male like Jock, various adult females and their combined offspring. So that is why Jock has to be that enormous size, in case he has to defend his family group against rival males. If you look at the gibbons later on, our other 8 species on the island behind us here, you'll see there's no size difference between the male and female gibbon at all. And that's because gibbons have a different social system. They live as couples, so they pair bond. So there's far less competition for mates in gibbon society. You'll also notice that crest of fur on top of Jock's head there, and you'll see that on the adult females and to varying degrees in the juveniles. This is where all Jock's jaw muscle comes underneath his jaw and attaches to the top of his skull. And he needs that overdeveloped jaw muscle to chew his way through all the fibrous food that he'd eat out in the wild, and that iceberg lettuce he's munching on at the moment. If he turns around at any point, you'll see the silver fur down his back. No prizes for guessing. This is where we get the term silverback from. All 4 subspecies of gorilla have silverback males, and what that silvery fur is a visual signal to the other animals in his group and also potential rivals out in the wild that he is the dominant animal within that particular family unit. If he moves his wrist, you'll see he's got a bit of a pot belly going on, and you'll see all our gorillas have got a pot belly. This has got nothing to do with them being overweight. A gorilla's digestive tract is much, much longer than a human's, so that pot belly houses all the internal organs they need to break down all the fibrous food that they eat. So that's a little bit about Jock. I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about Kira even if she's clapping, I'm going to talk about Salome first, who's the adult female lying in the shelter there. Now Salome is an incredibly important animal in terms of her genetics. All the Western gorillas in captivity are all controlled by a central body out in Holland. And it's their job to keep the gene pool as diverse as they possibly can. So there's never a need to take animals out of the wild anymore. Those days have long gone, thank goodness. Zoos aren't about that anymore. They're all about maintaining sustainable captive populations. So to do that, you have to know the genetic code of all the animals you've got in captivity. And Salome is a really, really important animal for that breeding program because her genetics are very, very underrepresented in the captive population as a whole. So we were very, very keen to get Salome breeding. But sadly Salome was encountering a few difficulties. Now luckily for us here at Bristol Zoo we've got an on-site vet department, so they were able to perform a few tests for us, and they discovered Salome had a condition called diminished ovarian reserves. Now that condition messes up the whole reproductive cycle, and we were able to treat it with human fertility treatment, and the result of that was Jock and Salome's eldest offspring, a gorilla called Kamali. Now regular visitors to the zoo would have seen Kamali here.
And come pick me up. Pick me up.
He's standing on his knee and he's sitting on a baby.
Oh, sorry. It's a baby carrot.
What is it?
He's going in water. He likes pick me up.
I will. Can you see okay?
No.
Right, I'm going to give you a bit of help.
Whoa.
You're going to have to hold on really tightly.
Okay. I suppose in the water.
Yeah.
But on the steps. Never get again. I'm a hit five.
Jack, get you ready, Barry. I should see what to.
Never take the house.
You ready to go? You're lovely.
I'm not going to hit her.
Right, I'll hold you that so that when you get on the barrier. You can see his mouth. You can see his mouth. Look, he's jumping. She's jumping, sorry. That's Mummy, isn't it? She's jumping. Wow, look at those teeth. Oh, she's going to lie down next to her son.
Is she going? That's so it's going to set you down.
There you go, actually.
on, Leo. Leo, come and see the monkeys.
Go and look at some other ones.
very short tail.
Joseph, what's your name?
Joseph.
Hey.
Huh?
Very unusual. I've seen. Oh yeah. It's like it looks like how I feel here. I know. Hug her up. Skin condition.
Weird creature.
Tanya's been handling everything.
Oh, is that Tanya's side?
I understand.